Hi there! Today we will discuss the topic that we are assigned for today's video. The topic is all about the challenges in teaching. We all know that teaching is not an easy job for everybody because teaching is the mother of all jobs. But teaching is not all about to give knowledge, to give everybody insights, to motivate others, but also in teaching there is challenges. So today we will differentiate these different factors that made the teaching difficult for a teacher. So in front of you we have different factors that we need to discuss. We have the multilingual and multicultural classrooms, multi-intelligence, brain-based education, learner-centered and constructive teaching, multi-grade classes, ICT integration, and children with special needs. These factors in front of you are the challenges that makes the job of a teacher harder. But the focus of this topic is all about the teaching in multilingual and multicultural classrooms. When we say multilingual and multicultural classrooms, these are the challenges within the classroom with diverse students. When we say diverse students, not only a Moro student, but also we have a Bisaya students, Teduray students, all the tribes that is belong in this classroom. So a teacher needs to be equal for everybody. A teacher needs to be a mother for all, not for one, but all. So in teaching, it is just not about teaching. In teaching, you need to be compassionate, you need to be more understanding, to understand the problems, the needs of everybody in this classroom. Teaching it's enjoying in life if you know what is the right thing to do. So in teaching, we have this what we call language barriers. These language barriers made the teaching more difficult because not everybody understands those languages, dialects that the one student is saying. For example, I will give you an example. For example, in the Cotabato City, most of the citizens or the students here are the Moros. So when there is a tribe, like for example, we will give Waray tribe that will going in this place in the Cotabato, in one classroom, there will be a two dialect intriguing. Why? Because the Waray has different dialects and the Moro have the different dialects. But the one reason that we communicate as one is our language, the Filipino, the Filipino language. That's why all the Filipino, all the tribes in the Philippines are connected because of one language. But therefore, in this kind of situation, we have this problem for everybody because not all students, not all people are easily understand what are you saying if there is more complicated in dialect. So, what are the strategies we need to do to help those students to adapt, to be productive, and more successful in developing a socio-cultural for everybody? So, I have 6 strategies that we need to learn as a teacher to help the students to understand everybody in one classroom. So, we have the content integration. So, what is content integration? From the word content integration, content is all about the compilation of cultural values, cultural belief, cultural heritage of everybody in one classroom. So, meaning to say, in this kind of situation, those students will learn how the culture they have will be connected to others so that they will understand the diversity of each other and will understand the difference between them. For example, I will give you an example. In content integration, I will give you an example. For me, as a Bisaya tribe, I will teach you what are the culture or the values we have in one tribe. So, as I engage everybody in this situation, if I want to be friend with others, I will share mine. And also, if in that case, if I have a friend like a Moro, they will share their cultural values so that we have this kind of sharing. And this sharing is the one who guide us to be deeper in relationship with others. Alright. Next, we have the second strategy, the cultural immersion. When we say cultural immersion, this is an immersion for everybody's culture. So meaning to say, if I am a Bisaya, it doesn't mean I will learn my own culture, but also I am very happily to study also the culture of one Moro. For example, I am a Bisaya. I cannot understand what are the culture you have in Moros. So I will study, I will ask the elders in the Moros, what are you doing in this culture? What are the beliefs you are believing? What are the culture heritage that you have? So, as you can see, if you have this kind of insights, you will understand the concept of respect. Because you are not in the own-centered. You are not self-centered, but also you are learning about others' cultural beliefs. The next one strategy that will help to create a bond in everybody is celebrating cultural diversity. So, what are these type of celebrating cultural diversity? In celebrating cultural diversity, it is talking about a perception or engaging in one's another's culture. For example, we have this kind of celebration, the United Nations celebration, which all the cultures, all the beliefs, all the cultural heritage of one's nation are introduced in the world, so that all the people in this world will know that we have different cultures, beliefs, and we have different traditions, so that we are not be ignorant for their beliefs, so that we will give a knowledge that we will learn for them, and we will accept for ourselves to help them to communicate. That's why, for example, in the Philippines, we have the cultural heritage of, we have the culture of Manupo, right? It is our tradition. We are asking blessings with the elders. In the United States, they are the culture of, they are the culture of Halloween. They are practicing Halloween. They are more productive, and they dress as they like. So there is difference in culture, but we have no fighting in them because we are educated. We will know what is the boundaries we have and what are the limits we have. So the next strategy that we need to learn is the culture responsive pedagogy. So when we say pedagogy, it is the process of teaching. So if you want to understand your culture, you need to be a teacher. You need to teach what culture you have so that everybody will learn it. They cannot learn it if there is no a teacher, right? Because being a teacher is you are the one responsible for their knowledge. Everybody knows that teaching is very difficult because you need to be deeper in yourself, in your studies, because you are giving information for others. In this kind of situation, in cultural pedagogy, you are teaching your cultures. the values, the beliefs that in others, so that the others will be informed that this is your culture, this is what we have, this is what you are learned from your ancestors, so that we can bring peace and joy in one classroom. Am I get it right? Yes. Next, the fifth strategy, we have the teaching local culture. Why is it important to teach the local culture? Is it important to know your culture? Yes, of course. Because teaching a local culture will help everybody to know who they are. They identify as themselves, the culture they preserve from their ancestor, and the beliefs that everybody's have. In this case, teaching local culture will not vanish the culture of our ancestors, because we are preserving it. We are preserving it to next generation, so that teaching this local culture will help everybody to remember what they are, so that teaching this local culture will also help everybody to understand you. Alright? For example, I will give you and then insights. So in Kapampangan, they have culture of they have the culture of cooking. When there is an event, they are cooking for themselves as one community. In the locals, they're the culture of the beliefs of Anitos. They are believing that this tree is a bathala. This stone, we should respect it because it is holy. That's why we need to teach the local culture, so we cannot step to our boundaries, so that we can bring peace and joy. Right? The next is using the local language as the medium of instruction. So meaning to say, when we say medium, it is an instrument. To understand you don't need to teach English. I mean, you don't need to speak in English. If you know that your students are not literate in speaking in English, excuse me. Because how they can understand you if they don't understand what are you speaking of? So that you need to learn the language that they are suitable to understand of. What is this? The mother tongue. Okay? The mother tongue is very important to teach to everybody, because the mother tongue is the dialect that everybody's know. For example, you cannot teach Bisaya in Moro, because Moro are not Bisaya. They cannot understand the concept of the dialect of Bisaya, because Moro have different dialect. That's why you need to use a general type of dialect, so everybody will understand you. That's why we cannot promote peace if there's somebody who cannot understand you. Because in promoting peace, we need to have everybody learns, or we will engage everybody about themselves. Okay? And lastly, we have this 4 will help them to preserve the culture of everybody. No? The first one is real life story model. In real life story model, it talks about a real life experience of one elder. For example, in culture, there are these what we call warriors. They will share their experience, what are type of living back then. They will explain to you how strong your culture is, where did they begin, what are your what are the stories behind this. That's why we have the real life story model. Because of this, you're engaging everybody to listen. You're engaging everybody to help them to understand what is really about your culture. Alright? So that's why there is a some people going to the higher land to document what type of living. So some of them are documenting and asking those elders because they know that elders have more experience than the younger. Right? Next, we have the problem-based approach. So what is this problem-based approach? The problem-based approach, it talks about problem-based approach. It is we need to approach the problem. We should not hide the problem because hiding this problem will lead us to unsuccessful things. Because when we are approaching our problem, we are solving what we need to do. For example, as a student, if you have the problem in reading, then you should stop in learning in reading. No, you need to be more confident in learning English, because you are only yourself will understand and will teach yourself to be successful. That's why we need to approach the problem. Next is inviting local folks and community leaders as a source of person in school. So, yes, tama. I will give this an example. In this context, inviting local folks as a community leaders as a source of person in school, I will give the examples of the imam. They're going to school to teach the culture of Muslim culture, right? They are going to go there to teach what are the values, the culture to be a Muslim. In this case, by inviting local folks, this will help us to refresh and to be productive person, because we can learn in ourselves. Okay? Next, developing instructional materials for teaching indigenous knowledge. When we say developing instructional materials for teaching indigenous knowledge, we need as a teacher, we need to be flexible. You cannot push the knowledge in every, for example, for a one student that they can't understand. We need more flexible. Create a more productive material so that they can learn your topic, right? Because we know that indigenous people or the people in the higher lands are not capable of what we call this, cannot support themselves in schools, but they are learning because of their ancestor, their culture. They are learning from their elders. That's why as a teacher, you need to be more developing in instructional materials so that they can learn more and understand you. What are you talking about? So that's all, everybody. I hope you will understand my report. So before I will leave it here, I will introduce myself. My name is Juricel Carpen, and thank you for listening.